Na scenu nam dolazi čovek koji se WordPressom bavi od 2010. godine, osnovao je firmu Web Pigment i pomera granice WooCommerce Solutionsa. Mitko Kočovski, perfekcionista u kodu, srećno oženjen, da, postoji takvi muškarci. Kada ne piše kod, igra Dotu 2, a Makedonija je, pogađajte, evropski šampion u toj igri. Njegova ljubav je vikendica i dvorište, a kako on kaže, iako imam 3 dece, psa i ženu koja radi popodne, još uvek sam sane in the brain.
Dobro jutro. Пред се да се захвалим WordCamp Vršac и njihov organizacijski tim što su me stavili tako rano ujutro da držim ovaj tok. Vidim da ima puno vas. Ajde, kad stigne faza za pitanje, može da pitate na srpski, ali ja ću da pričam na engleski jer moj srpski je katastrofalan. So let's see what are we going to talk about today. First we're going to see what will happen with your website once you go live. Then we'll walk through the common WordPress errors. I'll share some tools and ways you can handle errors and how you can help and the best practices about managing your website once it goes live. So the website goes live. Wow, that's great, right? But the thing after going live is that in most cases your website will have errors. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are, that's gonna happen, and that's the reality. There is nothing to be afraid of because errors are normal things. Like I'm in the WordPress, I've built WordPress websites since 2010, and in a normal 8-hour day, I spend 3 to 4 hours daily to fix errors, so that's totally fine. You don't need to worry about it. The main thing is to always be prepared and to be a step ahead of the errors, right? So, and just a fun fact is that 3% of the websites that are live at the moment are offline. So, let's see the common WordPress errors. The white screen of that. How many of you guys have launched a website or migrated a hosting and the next thing you did when you opened the website is a blank website, right? So, great. You're not alone. The 500 internal server error, whenever you do, just leave your head up. There are plugin themes conflicts, database error connections, broken layouts after updates. These are maybe the top 5 common WordPress errors that can happen to anybody. As I said, the white screen of that is totally normal. The 500 internal server errors usually happen whenever there is a plugin or theme update, whenever you try to switch the PHP version of the server. The plugin theme conflicts is how many of you guys use the auto-update tool? Okay, then this is something that you see daily because whenever, especially a website that has like a lot of plugins and uses a premium theme, it's terrible. The database connections, at least in my scenario, usually happens when you have like you started using ads and stuff like that, so you have forms on the website which cause the database error connections. And whenever you do an update, you open the website and, surprise, you have a totally new website which doesn't look at all the same. So how can we prevent these kind of things? The first thing is, how many of you guys use a staging site? Great. So one of the how we do things at Web Pigment is that usually we replicate the live environment on a staging site. We do the updates step by step, first like WordPress core, then if it's a premium theme, the theme, then we see if something changed on the website, then we update the plugins. Usually we do all of the plugins at once because it's time consuming, and then if something breaks, then we revert back and we go plugin by plugin to see which plugin broke the website, which will help us fix the issue. But not only the server errors are errors. Sometimes when you do an update, it might be a JavaScript error or a CSV file that's not totally complete, which the developer tools built in any modern browser will help you determine what's the issue. Things that can help determine like 500 errors. Most of the hostings these days provide their own error logs, which you can review and help you resolve the issue. And first you'll do that on the staging side, then you'll be able to do it on the live side, which it can happen sometimes that once everything goes smoothly on the staging side, you do the same steps and then something breaks on the live side. So the good thing here is that if you're prepared and you spend 2 hours on just testing, you'll be able to prevent that or fix that quickly. One of the things in order to keep your website safe or in the safe zone is to have daily backups. I know that that's a time-consuming thing. Some hostings already provide that as a tool within the plan that you're purchasing. Others are not, but you can use even plugins to have that functionality, which will help you get back on track right away if something breaks on your website. Try to avoid using as many plugins as possible. We had a client that was self-managing their website, and we were like literally just on call whenever something breaks or stuff to jump in and fix it. And then we realized that they have like 5 plugins to use forms, because they had 5 different forms. So instead of using one form plugin to create multiple forms, they had separate plugin for each form. So try to avoid using as many plugins as less plugins as possible, because that will prevent errors happening on your website. So, but what should we do if something breaks, although it's not from the updates or from a PHP version? So the first thing is that you need to stay calm, to try and to determine what's the error, whether you do try to see the error logs or try to debug, because sometimes an error is not something that's visible. Sometimes an error is a scenario, right? The customer got to the home page, then it went back to the contact page, and when he tried to submit the form, it gave him an invalid nonce error message, right? So try to replicate the error that the customer saw or you saw, and try to find a workaround. Review the logs. In some scenarios, you probably won't be able to determine which plugin is causing that error. So long time ago, WooCommerce had an error which was not showing, the sorting functionality was not working, even in the admin area, right? And a customer reported that to me because he was trying to sort by low stock and it didn't work, and he was like, this is something you broke because it was working, now it's not even in the admin area, right? So what I did in that scenario is I replicated their live environment on a staging site, and I started disabling plugin by plugin to saw that they've changed the default sort by functionality with a filter, which then Yoast SEO was overriding. And whatever you choose as a filtering option, it's going to show up that it's sorted, let's say, by price or stock, but it still shows the results based on the date published, right? So I've created a ticket, they fixed the issue within the next patch, but in that scenario, what I did was I manually overrided that functionality into the WordPress of the customer site, because within the next, which is something that you should not do, but since I was sure, because they applied that as a patch into the next release of the WordPress, the WooCommerce plugin, I know that even though I overrided that file manually, it's gonna match with the same file that's gonna come in, or it's gonna be the same with the functionality that comes into the next file. Because if you do a plugin, if you override a plugin file and then you do an update, there is a scenario where you might not lose the work you've done there if that plugin doesn't have an update into that file, but that was up until WordPress included the replace functionality. So if you manually upload a plugin now, it says this plugin already exists, do you want to replace it? If you do that, you're gonna lose the work anyhow. So with that in mind, there is also a way, or there is also an option that if you see a plugin that doesn't work like this scenario, you can roll back to an older version where you can see that it works. It's gonna take some time for you to realize up until what version it didn't work properly, but it is what it is. Asking for help is not something that you should be scared of or afraid of, because that's what we do, right? When you search on Google, you're asking for help. When you use ChatGPT, you're asking for help. So it's not a problem if you ask a colleague, someone you know, or even open a support ticket on the plugin repository to ask for that specific plugin if someone had an issue like that and if they resolved it. And in that scenario, you should probably do that when you can't understand what the error message is. When your website is hacked, the biggest problem in that scenario is that you're unaware of what caused the hack, right? Whether it's admin123 username password, or a plugin has a backdoor. I'll tell you a funny story. We have a client that makes $1 million in sales monthly. They have like B2B partner program, and that website got hacked once. We've cleaned it up, update all of the plugins, all of that, reset all of the logins for the server, and we were like, okay, whew, this is good. Nothing was stolen from the website, and there was no change into the authorized.net payment parameters, so we were safe. And then 2 days later, it got hacked again, and so then we did the whole process once again. But on top of that, all of the administrators' passwords were, reset, and I just changed them and told the customer like, hey, you need to go in and reset all of the passwords for the users, your administrators, right? And the CEO, like 2 hours after that, sends me an email, I'm unable to log in with my password admin123 anymore. And I'm like, okay, this time for sure we know that we fixed the hacking issue and it's not gonna happen ever again. And those kind of things are happening when the business impact is high, right? So these people are using this as B2B. They have a lot of information that they don't want to share with the world, but people will try to get access to that no matter what, right? So in cases like that, make sure that you've covered everything. Make sure that you ask for help if is something that you cannot resolve, because if you don't, it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again. What I'm trying to get here is that you don't need a temporary solution. You need a permanent one, right? And I'll share some best practices going forward. So one of the best thing is to monitor up and down time and server errors. Like Jetpack had a free functionality where it's monitoring when your website is offline. I think what they're doing is every hour they try to access the website, and if it doesn't provide a 200 status in the header of the website, they send you an email that the website is offline. Try to keep track of your issues, especially if you have to change a functionality within your plugin, because the customer needs that. And so next time you do an update, you can go back into the document and see what you need to change after the update. There are some scenarios where you won't be able to have access to the server, so you won't be able to see the server logs, and it's only the 500 error, for example, happens on a specific page. In those scenarios, what I like to do is I install WooCommerce, because they have a built-in error catcher functionality or logs. So in that scenario, I just activate the WooCommerce plugin if it's not activated already, and then I go in and I check the log to see what kind of error message it's being given on that page. An alternative to that will be to install some FTP plugin. Then you manually override the WP config to enable the WP debug functionality. Or what I want to do best is for each website, I guess here everybody that works in a company, they have like Slack. So what we do is we create a webhook in Slack for each site, and we include similar to the WooCommerce error catcher functionality, a file where each time there is an error we get a Slack message. That way it's not just being an email to me, but everybody that was involved within that project from our team will be able to see that error message, and who's the most available or on a PC at the moment can jump in and look into the problem. If you prepare like this, then you can also let the customer know or the client that error can happen. That's totally normal. The good thing is that we have this functionality in place that will be able to fix it as soon as possible, especially if it's a WooCommerce website where they are using Google Ads, because everybody does in this era, and they're spending money to people to click on the website, and if the website is offline, that they literally just destroyed their money. And one of the things that nobody does, at least with the people that I've talked, is that nobody is budgeting when they're preparing a scope of work for the client, or building a new website. Nobody is putting in an ongoing expenses as maintenance, right? Or they do is just like, we'll do an hour of updates and that's it. But it's not as simple as that. You can input that an hour of maintenance monthly or weekly or bi-weekly, but what you also need to do is to include, I don't know, every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, let's say 5 to 10 hours, where you literally walk through everything on the website. Even if you're a backend developer, look under the hood of those plugins that are crucial for the business, that will allow you to be sure that the website is functional and it's not gonna break every time you do a Google ad or every time you try to update a plugin. So one of the takeaways from this talk should be that errors will happen, and you don't need to panic. You just need to be prepared for them. Have backups, have plans, use logging functionalities for errors, and staging sites. And what I was just talking about is know when to escalate. That's not just, okay, we're gonna increase our hosting package from $5 to $10, but to see if the $10 plan is actually gonna work for your website, or you need to increase it to one that's 20, 30, or whatnot. Because once you have a website that has a huge traffic, that also means that that website is bringing a value to you. It doesn't matter if it's an e-commerce site or it's I don't know, just about the company website. If you have a lot of people visiting that website, that means that probably you'll get more in-house visits, or try to monetize that traffic on any way possible, referring to then you want to spend $50 for your hosting plan, or more or less. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much for your talk. I'm just wondering, what do you think when we're creating websites in general? For example, I'm not talking about e-commerce, but about small business websites from scratch. So there you have much more control over what you're doing than to the people who are using themes, and they make some mistakes, something falls off and so down and so on and so on. So what do you think about that? You have much more control from the very beginning to the end, starting from designing the browser, HTML, creating WordPress page as a small, and then, but still that type of website could be hacked. I mean, everything could be hacked. But what do you think about that in terms of like people who have a small business website with WordPress like that, from scratch?
Yes.
Is it like I don't know, you control it better than just to take team and then everything can happen and not be that good for people who don't know exactly what they're doing?
Yes, but for people who don't know exactly what they're doing, they won't be able to build that themselves.
Yeah. But when they take teams, I mean, I'm working with like that. So when I take a team, I don't know what's behind. I cannot control it, so it's better to control it in that way. When we talk
Yes,
about
but
this.
then you can also use page builders, which will help you do
I know
that.
HTML, so that's why I'm talking. That is easier for somebody who I've
It
been
is,
doing HTML
yes.
for 20 years. So, and to connect with WordPress, it's a good possibility.
It is, but that means that you will not use any plugin at all.
I use plugins. Yes, maybe 1 to 2 exactly, and I know what's happening behind. So
Then in that scenario, yes, but if it's a small business,
yeah.
then you...
With an information, I mean, you have like a hair salon that's a small business.
Yeah, I understand,
Yeah,
I understand, but that's what I'm saying. If it's a small business, they won't be able to afford building a bespoke solution for their website, right? Because it's gonna need you, I don't know, 40, 80, 60 hours to build their website for them, compared to using a premium team where you'll need like 5 hours. Using a page builder, you'll need 10
How
hours.
are we going to learn then to create WordPress?
Yes,
You
but
cannot learn if you take, I mean, we already use open source software such as WordPress for free, so then again, you have the ability to use it however you find suitable. In that way, I think it's okay to use it, like, however you think. So that's,
yeah, I totally agree.
I understand, yeah.
I totally agree, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes maybe the best solution is to use a premium team or a page builder, but because you need to also have an understanding of the client's business, right? In regards of if they have a profit of 300 euros a year, they won't be able to afford your solution, right?
But if they want to be visible online as a hair salon or a coffee shop where people want to see where they are, what kind of prices they have, to be visible in that sense, to be responsive, I think that's sort of enough. We could talk about that, not about e-commerce.
Yeah.
Because I do that, so I'm just telling that
Yeah.
way. I never use e-commerce and with that sense. So yeah. There are many solutions, I guess. And
The best solution is what you're doing, but
still
that's...
there are teams, of course.
Yeah, there are costs that are coming with that,
Yeah.
which if it's a new business or they have their first website, I'm not sure if they would like to invest that much, right?
Yeah, they don't have Instagram, so many of them told me like, oh, you have a website. I told to them, like, send me the link. Oh, it's Instagram. Yeah, or Facebook. Believe it or not, in Belgrade especially, they
In
don't
Macedonia
have
as well.
Really, they don't have a small business website. They use Instagram or Facebook. So
And-
that made lots of mess with.
How I avoid working with companies, whatever services I need personally, not like as clients, because we don't work with many clients in Macedonia, is when they have their contact email is like, let's say, mitkocompany@gmail.com, and then I'm like, no, if you can afford 5 euros to pay it then to be info@mitkocompany.com, then I'm not going to work with you, because on that email probably 20 people in the company have access to that email, and then they just type their name at the end, so when you email about something, 20 people are reading your email, and who's ever more free will give you a reply. So I understand what you're saying. It's the same. We are far behind in the website world here in the Balkans, I think, in general, not just in Serbia or in Macedonia. So let's hope for better times.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Pozdrav Mitko, prvo tebi hvala što si došao da podržiš ove WordCamp i naše drugare ovdje iz grada. Moje pitanje je, verujem da si u prošlosti imao slučajeve koji su ti zadavali baš velike glavobode. Da li možeš da nam opišeš jedan takav slučaj?
Pa to je najčešće od vina, ali...
Dobro, to se ne računa.
Ne, pa to je bilo recimo na početku moje karijeri, when I started developing, and I was using like premium themes and I don't know, page builders or a simple functionality like recent posts. I was going to use a plugin, so then when there is a plugin update or the style of that recent post was going to be messed up or it was going to throw an error, and that's when I decided that I'm going to look into more into backend and build those kind of things. But as a general answer to your question, I would say that it's just the plugin updates, which is the most painful process up until this day, because even with a powerful plugin such as WooCommerce, they still have room for error. I can't get political, so I won't continue to talk about this topic. But the error that I mentioned about WooCommerce was released in the same patch where they decided to change Macedonia to North Macedonia. So it was like, it's important for you guys to change the name of the country, but even though you broke the plugin without testing it. So those kind of things are happening, and it will happen. So you just need to be prepared. And that error was not even detected by me or any developer. It was by the customer that actually uses that as a helpful tool for himself.
Hvala na odgovoru i nadam se da troubleshooting radiš uz neko dobro vino.
Thank you for the talk, Mitko. My question is around automation. So do you use any automation services to check the sites when you're actually doing plugin updates?
But not anymore. We had a automatization because it became like too hard to maintain. We were trying to even like create our own internal thing similar to what there is a company that does that. It's not on.
What kind of testing? Regression testing? Or?
No, it was literally doing screenshot and comparing them to the latest. I don't remember the name, but if someone wants to know, I can probably look it up and provide you with an answer in the lobby on the coffee break. But we used to do things like that, right? So before we do the updates, we will run the script. It's gonna capture all of the screenshots and it's a note plugin, and then after that you do it again. But the problem is that only tests your visuality of the site, which is something that you can probably do it yourself quickly, because you anyhow need to test the functionality as well, right? So it's not losing time if you just need to make sure that everything is visually okay, but it's we stopped using it.
Thank you.
Hi, so I have a quick question about the, you mentioned using webhooks to get error messages in Slack.
Yes.
So I was curious, what is it a plugin?
No.
No?
No. If you like, I can give me your email. I'll send you the file where you'll. What I do is I literally include it in WP config, just like require once, and I don't know, mitcode.php, which is in the same level with WP config, and then for each separate customer, I input a different, because the way Slack does is it has like you just input a key, which when you call the webhook with that key, it's sending a message to a specific channel. So it's literally, you'll just need to upload the file, insert one line, I'll provide me with a list of emails, and I'll just input the installation instructions.
That's open source.
Yeah, it is. 1 liter of wine per email.
Hello, thanks for the talk. You mentioned very briefly that people often overlook budgeting for these kinds of things.
Yes.
So my question is, why do you think that's the case? What is your process of potentially convincing the client? And one more question related to this. How do you convince them if they are on some managed hosting and the managed hosting already promises certain features, like for example, taking care of updates and so on?
We don't work with clients that don't accept our hosting suggestions, and that's a must, right? Because especially in Macedonia, there are hosting providers that often offer the ultimate WordPress hosting for 50 euros a year. And you know, some of my friends that know that I don't work with Macedonian clients, and that I don't want to, because probably most of them will not accept my offer, because they're website that are portals that are like for oglase, kako se kaže? Oglase. For ads, and they like try to offer building a website for 50 euros, right? And then they'll pay them 50 euros, they'll install a premium theme, most of the demo content will still be inside, and then they'll just tell them, okay, buy this for 50 euros a year, this is your best WordPress solution, and then they do that, and like literally after 5 minutes the website is never online again. So what we do is, the reason to answer your questions now, like the first thing, the reason why people don't put budgeting into this is because I think that they don't care. How they see it is like, I'm gonna take his money to build the website now, and then he can call me if he wants some updates. And what was the second thing that you?
It was related to managed
to manage hosting, yes.
Kind of like answer.
I'd answer it because we offer only WordPress managed hostings. We tell them like, we don't care which one you choose. We had one Macedonian client that chose one over the other because it was still Macedonia, not North Macedonia. So people make their own decisions based on what they want. We don't care which one of those that we suggest they get onto, as long as it's one of those, right? Because I don't want to be called. There was one thing that I forgot to tell you is that when the website is offline, please just make sure that it's offline for you. That it's not just for you, right? Because I had a friend, my first website, WooCommerce website that I built was similar to Groupon. Like when you go and you buy a coupon or you get a discounted price for something. And as we uploaded the website, the customer started calling me like, hey, the website is offline now. Hey, the website is offline now. And most of the times that at that phase Macedonia didn't have stable internet connection, it was he not having an internet connection properly, right? So make sure that first is not just offline for you, it's offline for everybody before you start panicking.
Thanks for the answers.
Koje ti je omiljeno vino?
Vranjec.
If there isn't any more questions, then we can exit.